Salute. Welcome to your favorite podcast. This is PR with 61 Minute Podcast. Today's topic is basically going to be touching on, I think something that, a lot of people had missed, that allegedly will be getting tied with a lot of things that corresponded in the future, what helped shape the world what it is today. And this topic is going to be about 1492, the Spanish Inquisition, expelling of the Jewish people in Spain. Now, two things that happened in 1492 that a lot of people really don't put together. And I always wonder why. Why is these things not being put in the light that it should be? Why is it that in 1492, two things that shaped the world, and the outcome of what it is today, and the result of what it is today? So you got the Spanish Inquisition, and also you have Columbus leaving Spain and searching for supposedly spices for the queen. Now, in this situation, I find a lot of great things, and a lot of times I raise my eyebrows, because why wasn't this taught in school for basically my demographic? I can't really speak on, other states, other Caribbean islands and other parts of the world when I say that I wonder why I didn't know what really happened. So in 1492, the queen decides that she's gonna round up a lot of people, because she wants everybody to submit to the queen. Now, at this time, I believe there was almost like 500,000 Jews, or 200,000 in Spain. So usually the royal families of whatever country these people are in, these people are used as, I would say, bankers and things like that, because they're really smart when it comes, as far as making a profit. One of the things that people do criticize is the fact that, they make a lot of their profit by giving you something, but the back end, as far as the increase, the entrance, it becomes that kind of like a trap. It becomes kind of like the credit card business, how that is play out. So the royal families, whether it be Spain, France, they all use these people as, which is the Jewish people at that time, as people that will work like banking jobs, taxes, things of that nature. So the Queen in Spain, fast forward to the Queen in Spain, just giving you guys a perspective on how these people could be able to practice their faith, because they bring something to the table as far as for the royal family. Now the Queen of Spain started rounding up people and started making them a converso, and it's a Spanish term. When I looked at the word, as far as the meaning and stuff like that, or to me it was funny how I looked at the sneaker Converse, and it has the star, which is similar to the Star of David. But like I said, this is a podcast that's anti-rabbit hole. If you feel you want to dig into that, you dig into that. I'm going to stay in this lane, and excuse me for bringing that up, if you feel like that's a rabbit hole, but I just felt like, there's no such thing as coincidence, but here or there. So let's keep moving on. So converso was what they call a Jewish person that converted from Judaism to Christianity or Catholicism. So a lot of these people did that. They converted to a new religion under the sword, because the Queen of Spain would torture, were killing. She was doing anything and everything above to have everybody submit to the will of the throne. Kind of like I don't want to give it up too early, but kind of like that. So you have the Queen having everybody submit to the will of the throne. So in comes Columbus. Columbus, I believe, leaves March of 1492. Now this is where a lot of people get confused. A lot of people get confused in this very instance right here. All right, so now you have thousands of people fleeing Spain for persecution, similar to what Hitler was doing. So you have people fleeing the country, and you have Columbus at the same time rounding off ships to embark into new land. It's funny to me because if you go back in time in Spain, there was an individual. His name was Marco Polo. Now, Marco Polo was an explorer, a merchant. His family, his father was a merchant. It was in his blood. So Marco Polo, goes with his father at a young age and takes a trip to Mongolia. Now, Mongolia is run by a great leader known as Genghis Khan. Now, Genghis Khan took a liking to Marco Polo. Marco Polo contributed a lot to Genghis Khan expeditions, and he contributed within the knowledge of the West, bringing it back to the East, and him learning from them, and so he had a great mind next to him. And I'm bringing Marco Polo up to this topic because Marco Polo reached Southeast Asia. The empire of Genghis Khan was all throughout, even fell through almost Japan. So the merchant route that everyone followed, because at that time a lot of people looked towards the east, and just looking from their eyes, they pictured that it was kind of like when you reach a waterfall, that the earth was flat and the water would just run. So it's a suicide mission. So what these people would do in their mental is travel from country to country and stick around pretty much the beaches area where they could see land. They didn't travel too far off. So these people would take the route of Spain, Italy. You got Morocco right there. You have another reason is why they stuck around shore was the fact that if they run out of supplies, if anything happens, is kind of like how airplanes fly, near shore. They don't like to go. When I went to Europe, they'll take the coastal lines. They'll travel because anything happen, they could reach an airport or anything. So look at it like that. A lot of merchants would travel like this. They'll touch countries to countries, mainland to mainland. In doing so, you trade. You meet different. You see different things. So this is how they was able to get to Asia by sticking to the, is now known today, the Silk Road, which is cutting through, going through Spain, going through it, passing Italy, passing the Ottoman Empire, going through Egypt, and coming out and being right next to, being right there in India. And then from India, you got China, you got the South China Sea, which is the Philippines, and this is the things that we are fighting to this day. So, if you follow through that channel, which is the Silk Road, once you get to the Philippines, New Guinea, there's a current that helps you. It gives you, it's kind of like a highway into the mainland, and into, it's a highway. It's a current, it's a push that you get, and if you fall into that current, you'll be able to reach mainland way faster than your normal, I would say, sailing. So it's like either going on local or taking a main highway. So a lot of these merchants follow that same route. So this is why I say, and I said all of that to say this, that Christopher Columbus did not cross the Atlantic. Christopher Columbus actually coming out, he took the route of going into the Silk Road, which is what they knew, which is what Marco Polo and all the other great merchants took the same route, because of in the West, if you're in Spain, you're looking at the West like there's nothing else. It's just the earth is flat and you have to go this way because it's the way that, land is on this route. So they follow this route whenever they wanted to look for spices and trade. So it's funny to me that, they say that Christopher Columbus went through the Atlantic, when in reality, nobody, when you leave the port, is only one direction you go. Nobody takes that direction in fear of, believing that the earth is flat and you'll fall off if you reach a certain amount of space in the sea. So as far as my alleged belief is that Christopher Columbus took the same Silk Road route, traveling down past Italy, going through Africa, Egypt, crossing through there, and going around and being right there in India. And then from India, this is why you could already see, and as far as artifacts and collection of things that will prove the point of the Spanish being everywhere there, one of the key points that you may miss is the fact that the Philippines, a lot of the natives' last name, it'll be Pacquiao, Santiago. These are Spanish names, so you can see how far the Spanish culture went. Now, that doesn't stop there. When Christopher Columbus, how the land of North America and other lands like North America and South America, the Native American, well, actually, to be clearer, the Mesoamerican, which is one of the oldest civilization, older than everything else out there. That civilization traveled from North America down all the way down to South America. Now, islands of New Guinea, which are damn near almost identical to the mainland of South America, the culture is very similar. So these people knew about these routes. So these are the people who actually taught Columbus the route. Now, how I'm gonna prove the fact that Christopher Columbus did reach the Pacific and not the Atlantic is the fact that Panama Canal, which is Panama Canal is in Panama, of course, is pretty much a bridge or what all the merchants use to get from the Pacific all the way to the Atlantic, because you don't want to go all the way down to Argentina and come up. So right there's undeniable proof that this is what they use to go to the Atlantic, because they'll go through the Panama Canal. Now, there's actually a place in Panama, I believe it's south of Panama. This on the other side of the Atlantic, the other exit of the Atlantic in Panama, which is called Christopher Colon, which is Christopher Columbus. So the proof is in the pudding. You can actually see this place called Christopher Columbus. Now, why will they call it that? Is because of the simple fact that Christopher Columbus traveled the Silk Road all the way down to the New Guinea, traveling down to Panama Canal, crossing to the Atlantic, and reaching the mainland of Cuba first, then reaching Haiti, then reaching the Dominican Republic, then reaching all the other islands. Now, another fact about it is that the Spanish actually conquested more in the West than in the East. Why I say that? In the southern West and the southern East, because as far as even the names of the states that you see, California, Arizona, Nevada, Montana, New Mexico, Arizona, I said that, Louisiana, New Orleans, Florida, Georgia, these are all Spanish names. The same thing goes to Mexico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and et cetera, et cetera. So you see the trace that the Spanish had left all over the place. The proof that they were, the probably biggest discovery as far as from their standpoint of America in the new land. So they find this land, but this land is inhabited with other people, which is the native Mesoamericans, or the tribe of Hope Land down in North America. This civilization makes it the oldest. Now these are the real Native Americans, the people that not the Indians, and I'm sorry to say, and this is no shot at nobody, but not the Native Americans that have tribes and casinos and all that here. Now, the natives were of dark-skinned descent people, copper tone people. This is why the Spanish, and I said everything to say this, the Spanish call black people morenos, and in English how they flipped it, which is the same meaning in Spanish, is Negro to the Aboriginal American Negro. Because, and I'm gonna go into that. Hopefully I touch on it, since it's so much information. So you have the Spanish calling the Aboriginal people of this land Negroes, right? Which means black, or black hair, So now I brought you to this point. Now I must rewind so you can see the full picture. Now, 1492, you have Columbus exiting, so-called to discover spices and bring them back to the Queen. And at the same time, you have a huge exit of people of Judea, which is the Jews. This is something that was never linked to my attention, to my 40 years living in this earth. I never, ever knew that the people in actual Christopher Columbus allegedly was Jewish. Now, if this migration of Jewish people, supposedly almost 1 million people, the same amount of people that they said that they brung from Africa, follow me here. So in reality, these people didn't come from Africa. The Jews came from all walks of life, from Egypt and from everywhere, So these are people with no flag, no country. So they're basically all over the place. So a lot of these people were getting kicked out of countries. I don't know if it was approximately 100 and some countries or 80 some countries they got kicked out of. But I'm speaking in a specific time of 1492, because 1492 is what they said that Columbus had brung Africans over here through the slave trade. But in reality, this is the situation. This is what I believe is the actual facts. That Columbus, him being himself a Jew, right, came from Spain with some of his people. Because at the same time, these people were being prosecuted, killed, tortured. So the odds of me thinking, well, a lot of people must have want to leave with Christopher Columbus at that time, knowing that the Queen was prosecuting everybody the same way Hitler was. So a lot of people was fleeing. Oh my God. Just thought about the similarities of me. When I said just the same way as Hitler was leaving, I thought about, the people coming from, New York. To New York from Europe, and that trip also. Unbelievable. But so now you have Christopher Columbus bringing or helping strive that migration from Spain that is no longer wanted in Spain, which are the Jewish people of 1492, bringing them from Spain all the way down to South America. This is why we have to wake up. This is why Argentina, have a lot of Jews there. South America has a lot of Jewish people there. Cuba has a big, a huge tie with Israel. I'm with the Judea people, the Jewish people. The Caribbeans, just look at Florida. Majority of the people of the Jewish descent live in Florida and New York. Now, notice I said Florida and New York. Now, Florida and New York, well, these were both big, big ports, from after World War II, them coming over there. And then they coming over with Christopher Columbus. So they have since 1492 been here. So now me understanding that Jewish people came with Christopher Columbus, not African black people. African Aboriginal people from Africa. Now I'm thinking, okay, wow, because I'm putting the Jews. See, a lot of people will put all white people in a blanket. It was just, just the same way you paint a brush with the Caribbean people or Mexican people with South American people. we kind of painted, and not we, but the majority of people painted white people with the same brush as far as mixing, white person from France and it's the same from Australia. So me saying that is because if the Jewish people came with Christopher Columbus, then the people who enslaved the natives of North America were the Jewish people. Now, I'm guessing, me thinking is these people were prosecuted, and they have a huge record of being prosecuted throughout the whole world, which is totally wrong. No one deserves to be prosecuted. Nobody deserves 400 years of slavery and not a dollar be given to them. But me understanding how the human mind works in a way, I would understand them if they felt, well, this is new land that had nothing to do with the Queen or any coronation, anything like that. So this land is sacred to us because of the simple fact that we can't go back to being slaves ever again. We could enslave someone else as far as who built this country. Because, after them being prosecuted in so many different countries and fleeing to one country and then to another, you would have to say enough is enough. So I'm guessing that these pilgrims, and you see how the pilgrims are dressed, black hat, black and white shirt, similar to allegedly how the Jewish people dress. And now I'm tying everything together. Now I'm understanding that there were white folks that took the blame for this demographic of people. They took the blame of being racist and everything, when in reality it was these people. Because if they was the first to be here, then the first people when they came here, the slavery of the killing of the Native Americans in the Caribbeans, the millions and millions people killed just by chicken pox and everything, is one of the biggest atrocities, the biggest crimes ever in the history of this world. Now I will understand why someone will want to disguise the history instead of telling the honest truth, because the honest truth will definitely come back. And it always comes back. Like I always say, you can't cover the sun with your thumb. So we have this matter where now we know that the slave masters, they were slaving people, were actually the sense of people from Judea, from Spain. This is why a lot of the tombstones, or you may find slaves that their tombstones had Hebrew language on it, because the Aboriginal man from this land, allegedly, to my understanding, may have or may have not practiced that religion. That religion came from Spain and that expedition with Columbus. Now, this expeditions had led, Columbus expedition had led to a lot of atrocities, which was the genocide of the Aboriginal man from the Caribbean, the Aboriginal man from Mesoamerica, and you have the Mayan Empire, which is also got completely wiped out. Also with the Peruvian Empire with Amaru. Most of y'all are familiar with that name because Tupac, the rapper, the activist, you know what I mean, took the name Amaru Shakur because this name belonged to a native Aboriginal man from South America. See, Tupac and a lot of people like Malcolm X tried to tell us, but if you good information is good, but if you have bad information, it'll just debunk everything. Like it'll just throw you all the way off into a rabbit hole. This is why I hate rabbit holes. So you have Christopher Columbus going through, bringing thousands of people over. They were exiled from Spain, which are really Jews. But when they come to this land, remember, if you don't convert to Catholicism in front of the Queen, you will get murder, you will get torture, or you know it doesn't it's nothing in between. So when you guys see the Pinta, the Santa Maria, you see all these boats and they have crosses, it's because it was under the sword that they got indoctrinated into Catholicism or Christianity. So don't think these are people that under the gun chose a different faith just to save their lives. So a lot of people would, are embracing the fact that it was Christianity. They flew here with with the word of God from the Christian Bible. So don't get it twisted. These are people that did that just to preserve their life, and they didn't want to die or they didn't want to get tortured, which a lot of people would do. Now, these people that landed on these Caribbean islands, which basically genocide that whole area. I mean, it was reported that there was about 500,000 Indians in the Dominican Republic, and left over no less than 50,000. So when they came with a lot of viruses. This is why. This I'm gonna give it to you straight. This is why you have. See, it sounds so similar, right? When you have Corona Nation, which is the passage of the monarch system to the next kin, and then you have coronavirus, because this what's happening now, and I don't want to get too far ahead of where I'm going, which I feel like I already am, but this is why they call it coronavirus, because it's a plague. It's kind of like a metaphor for a plague that what happened back in those days, where in the order of the Queen, these people started leaving the country, and when they started mixing with other people, those other people, perish from that virus. So I'm guessing, putting my 2 cents in, is that the coronavirus is just a metaphor for the Corona Nation. That's why they call it Corona. That's why they call it the crown, because it's basically you're putting those two and two together. Now, going back in time, now we understand that the people that were here, they were enslaving the Aboriginal man, majority territory of the South. Now, this territory falls under who? It falls under Spain. How we know it falls under Spain? Because all the South territories are Spanish names. South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, New Orleans, Texas, Nevada, Arizona, California. I mean, the list goes on and on. I don't got to say all of them. But the simple fact that in most of the South, the place that was more concentrated at was around from Texas all the way down to Louisiana to Florida. Why they was concentrated there? Because this what gave the passage to trade slaves from the Caribbean from up to the north. That's why one of the biggest slave ports is right in New Orleans, right above Haiti, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, they all have strategic placing as far as with the slaves, how the slaves transaction was, where they was taking slaves from the Caribbean, vice versa, so on and so on. So in reality, the conclusion to this part one is that the Aboriginal men of this land, which is called the Moreno, and another word they use is Negro, which are both correlation with the same word, meaning with the same thing. Moreno meaning black, Negro meaning black also. These are all words that came from Portuguese, Spain, and Jewish. So whenever you hear these words, and also one of the reasons why they took the Negro out, because eventually you were going to find out. This is why Jesse Jackson, and this is another, I'm fast forwarding, I apologize for it. But I want you to understand, this is why Jesse Jackson was so prominent for you to use African American, because then this is why the African, it makes sense to the scholars that fooled us. It'll make sense why they'll put our mind in Africa and our body in America, because that way they hide the fact that in reality the people that were slaving us were the actual slaves at the time. Those are the people that landed here first. This is the people that Columbus let go when they got out the ships. The people that done rape babies, girls. I mean, this is all reported. This is not. I'm not here to bash on anybody. I'm just here to bring the truth out. Like I said, we don't cover the news. We let the news be the news. So please don't feel offended. If you are offended, please do your research and understand that the truth does offend you. Does offend, because that's the truth. So these are the people that took the territory in the South. And a lot of them were conversos, which is converts to from Judaism to Christianity. So a lot of these people with time lost their way, because, you know, even though they were here, the queen was still sending men and people, their army, to actually burn down anybody who said that there was Catholic who turned Jew. So, you know, she was still, her hand was still being, her words were still being felt. So these are the people that actually converted. So now that you have the Confederate flag, and then you have the Deep South, now you understand why it's almost identical the way that the Jewish people treat the Palestinian people. No different from black. I mean, these are the most segregated people in the face of this earth. You know, one of them, I say. As far as they living in metropolitan areas, and I mean, they have their own community. They don't mingle with anybody else. So it's funny how the people in the South were so segregated that they forgot two things happened at that time. The Aboriginal man was forced to forget who he was, and the Jewish migration that came to this land also forgot who they were. As far as from time to time, they forgot that they was actually Jewish, and in reality, from them leaving their beliefs in order to stay alive, they converted to Christianity. So I'm concluding this to the point that we know that one, Christopher Columbus was Jewish. the exile of Spain in 1492 was the exile immigration to the North America via 1492, not Africans, but Jewish people coming with Christopher Columbus to pretty much take over land, take over the land in the Caribbeans and North America. And we're gonna go in more, because the fact is that the same way that black people are being treated here is the same way Palestinians are treated over there. Not to say who's suffering the most, or it's not a contest. It's just understand it's almost identical how you being segregated into ghettos the same way that they are also. So now it's not about Illuminati. It's not about these people and that people. We got to break everything down. The next topic, since we just basically broke down everything, we're going to go in on to fast forward from 1492 all the way up to even up to the point of 1917. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share, hit the subscribe button. This podcast is gonna be dwelling on these things because I believe this is important for our history to be taught the right way, not their history, but our history. With that being said, salute y'all. Please hit the share, like, and subscribe. It's your boy PR. Can you see me? I might clear it to you. Salute.